Hello, you're watching James. My name's James, you're watching me, and I'm talking about watches. In particular today, I am talking about photos that look a lot like this. Have you seen a photo like this before? If you've been on any sort of social media with watch-related pictures, there's a fairly good chance that you have seen a photo like this. And if you're like me, you may have had a couple of thoughts about the people that are posting photos like this. But what I'd like to do today is both talk about why I think people post photos like this, and also why I think people connect watches with cars. But to do so, I'm going to do something a little bit different today. I'm going to flip the camera around and I'm going to take us to a different location to chat about cars and watches and why I think people are motivated to put photos like this online. So let's flip the camera around and let's keep this conversation going. Well, welcome to the inside of my car. I hope that the footage as well as the sound is okay. I haven't really tested this. This is just because I'm talking about cars. I thought, well, why not do it inside my car? So the three type of people that I think make these photographs and then post them. Well, the first type I think are going to be the people that are trying to show off. People that perhaps have a reasonable amount of money available to them, allowing them to buy some really nice fancy luxury watches as well as some really nice fancy luxury cars. And they want to say, look at me, look at me, look what I've got, look what you don't have, look at the photo that I've now posted. Please comment and make me feel better about myself. Well, at least that's how I sometimes feel when I see some of these photos. Generally, it happens to be a bit of a high-end watch, maybe a bit of a gaudy kind of Richard Mille type of watch, and it's in front of a logo on a steering wheel that I like, but I like as a bit of an enthusiast in thinking about a cool, fancy car, but they're sort of sitting in because they can afford it. Now, they may love that watch, they may love that car, but to me, it just feels like they're saying, look at me, aren't I fantastic? Look at all this money that I'm pulling out of my pockets. And I don't particularly like that. But I'm not going to judge anybody. If they feel like that makes them happy, if that's something that they want to do, feel free, go ahead. I'm not going to think too much more about it, other than obviously make then a video about it and comment on the internet about my thoughts. But I'll leave it there. Next is a category of people which I certainly sort of understand. It's people that have a really strong passion for their watches. They really love their cars as well, and they want to express that passion. And this isn't always high-end watches. This is not always high-end cars. This can just be the watch that they love and that the car that they drive and they can afford. And I understand that they're just trying to share that passion with other people who also have a passion for watches and possibly cars as well. I know this because I have a huge passion for watches, so much so that I have a channel on YouTube, which is social media, all about watches. I have this channel partly just to give me the opportunity to get off my chest all these thoughts and feelings I have towards watches, and it gives me a sort of pathway to be able to express that stuff. And that's probably what they're doing too in this sort of format. And then, of course, number 3 on this list, in my mind anyway, they are the guys that are taking the piss. Now, if you do not know what taking the piss is, that's a bit of an Australian term, I think. It is people that are making fun of others or having a bit of a laugh or sort of poking a little bit of fun at the people that are being a little bit too serious. These are the guys that have sat down, they've drawn themselves a Rolex with a pencil, they've cut it out, they've sticky taped it to their wrist, and then they've put it in front of their steering wheel, which then has a drawn BMW logo. And this is always a little bit funny. Somebody has really wanted to express themselves in a humorous way, and they've actually put some time and energy and effort into it. And I always appreciate a laugh. And this watch collecting world, and even car collecting world that some people are involved in, it can be a little bit serious. And I don't want it to be too serious. This is a passion of mine, but we need to take it lightly. We need to inject some humor into this. So I certainly do appreciate it when people took some time and energy into making a light of a unfortunately slightly serious subject taken by some people anyway. So why are people even thinking to take these photographs? Why are they doing it? What has a steering wheel got to do with a wristwatch? Well, for me, I think it has got to do with the engineering of both things. Both are mechanical things, obviously an engine in a car as well as an automatic movement in a watch. Myself, I absolutely love that part of both cars as well as watches. I appreciate the amount of effort over long periods of time, hundreds of years in regards to watches, at least 100 more years in regards to cars and engines. People have spent so much time thinking about creating, refining, changing, and producing a product that is an engine or a mechanical movement that does a task which is absolutely amazing. You then take into account all the surrounding things. In cars, we have tyres and wheels and suspension and brakes and interiors, and how much effort that must take in regards to creating, thinking up, and integrating together. Watches, exactly the same. Not only is there a movement, but of course there is a case, there are bracelets, there are crystals, there are crowns, there's different complications. The amount of effort and time over the generations that this has come together to create such an amazing thing, I appreciate that. And I do link them in my head, both cars and watches, because of that appreciation of all the energy and time people have taken over those generations to create these amazing things. And secondly, I think this is the more important thing. It's the emotional connection. I have an emotional connection to my watch, and I have an emotional connection to my car. I not only like them, but I love them. I've put a lot of energy into work, earning money to be able to pay for this watch. I've put a lot of energy into work to be able to pay for this car. I've been very careful with how much I've spent both on watches as well as the car. I've been trying to be a bit smart. I've often bought used. This car is a used car. It was within my budget. I was able to afford it. Same with my watches. But I have a link to them. I really, really like them. Now, like you guys, I own lots of things. I have cutlery in the kitchen. I've got utensils. I've got a couch. I've got a TV. I've got gym equipment. But none of that stuff do I have an emotional connection to. I appreciate everything that I own. I custom picked everything that I own because that's what I wanted to own. That's what I wanted to spend my money on. That's what I use and I enjoy. But I don't love those things. But I do love this thing. And I do love this thing that I'm sitting in. And that is why I think people link these two things together to do these sorts of photographs. There is a connection both emotionally as well as financially, as well as physically. They get to then experience also having it on their wrist and sit in it and actually drive it. There is that connection. So I completely understand why people connect cars and watches together. And I sort of completely understand why people then want to express that online. And they do that by taking that photograph. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining me today. Slightly different format today. Let me know what you think. Do you like a little bit of a different format occasionally? Mix up the videos? It may or may not be something I do in the future. I just thought the particular episode, it really suited the content of it. As always, thank you so much for watching. I do hope to see you in the next video.